It's been 14 years since the fantastic yet flawed Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines hit our gaming screens. Since then, the subgenre has been unfortunately largely neglected. Developed by Don't Nod Entertainment, creators of Life is Strange, Vampyr quickly highlights the team's strengths in narrative gameplay along with their experience in building third-person action games. Vampyr oozes atmosphere thanks to its Victorian-era London setting. The game takes place in the dark and eerie backdrop of London during the 1918 Spanish flu pandemic, a perfect setting for the theme of the game. It's clear the developers have done their research here. The game's setting is truly one of the strongest points. Players are placed into the shoes of Jonathan Reed, a doctor turned vampire who's struggling to come to terms with his newfound undead condition, whilst trying to uncover the reason behind it all. The beginning of the game stumbles somewhat, but things quickly pick up from there. Jonathan's voice actor generally does a good job throughout the game's 20 or so hour long story. The writing isn't completely perfect, with some odd lines here and there, but generally it's very strong. The supporting cast of characters found throughout the dark streets of London do a fantastic job of bringing life to the game's world. Each character has a story to tell. Don't Nod do a great work of making almost all of them offer a unique personality. Players are able to uncover clues and hints in the world, along with dialogue hints from opposing characters to unlock more conversational options. As you uncover more of that character's story, their blood quality improves, increasing the XP that you can gain by feeding from them. Dialogue is a huge pillar of Vampyr's gameplay. Almost all of the characters in the game have a surprising amount to talk to you about. Their individual stories interweave with others, forcing you to explore both the environment and the dialogue options in order to uncover everything. Generally speaking, it's well written too. I found myself legitimately interested in what almost everyone had to say. Thankfully, players are never forced to feed from any character in the game. You can play through the entire game without consuming any citizens. There's no ticking timer here. The only incentive is to feed for a tasty XP boost. This citizen system ends up being a brilliantly unique mechanic. By killing a citizen, you run the risk of missing out on a potential future side quest or character developments from this person. But then, that XP boost looks really appealing when you're struggling with a group of enemies, doesn't it? Learn all about that character and then the XP on offer becomes even more thirst quenching. Enemy NPCs aren't quite as lucky when it comes to resisting your hunger though. The game's combat plays out fine. It's not as spectacular or satisfying as it could be, but it does work. You gain a number of abilities throughout the game such as a ranged attack, claw swipe, dash, heal and a few ultimate abilities. You can switch between two different weapon sets on the fly which offers some tactical options. Offhand stakes, for example, provide heavy stun damage, but a shotgun or pistol could expose an enemy's weakness. Two-handed weapons take up both main and offhand slots, but often combine to increase damage along with a portion of stun damage. Whilst the combat isn't spectacular, it's not terrible either. Walking up to unaware enemies can allow you to initiate combat with a stun plus bite combo. Unfortunately though, there's no actual stealth mechanics here outside of this, which leads to the above feeling a little bit like an afterthought. By sleeping in your bed, time passes on to the next evening. During the passing of time, a region's health can be altered based on the player's actions. If characters are diseased, then the disease may spread. Craft a cure for someone's ailment and not only will you improve that character's blood quality, but you'll also prevent the issue from spreading further. Resting at a bed is important for progression too. You accrue XP by killing enemies, finishing quests and feeding on characters. This XP can then be spent on various passive and active skills. Personally, I found the passive skills to be far more beneficial here, with boosts to health and stamina having a tangible impact on my combat performance. Unfortunately though, there's not a huge variety of skills on offer. It's certainly an area that could be improved and would help to add further variety to the combat. Thankfully though, the game's aesthetic design however is spectacular. London fits perfectly with the game's sombre bleak tone. Fog effects and some great lighting are put to brilliant use here. The Spanish flu outbreak is desolate in the city, with medical services unable to keep up with the virus, and to make matters worse, the vampiric plague is quietly tearing through the area in the background. The game's semi-open world manages to feel truly grim, filthy and foreboding. The game targets a 30 FPS lock on consoles. We tested the game on an Xbox One X, where the game largely ran fine. There were some stutters here and there, but it's nothing that really distracts from the action all that much. Visually the game looks good. Image quality isn't quite as sharp on the X as I would have hoped, but the game does make use of some fantastic smoke and lighting effects along with a strong artistic design to produce some truly stunning atmospheric scenes. Vampyr's score is also strong. The music suits the atmosphere and time period of the world fantastically, swiftly transitioning between a foreshadowing emotional ambience into an anxiety-inducing industrial tone. It is excellently done. Whilst the game isn't perfect, there's a lot to like here. The combat system could be better. The game's heavy focus on dialogue, however, has been handled expertly. Delving into each character's unique stories and their personalities felt consistently interesting. The game's depiction of London has been beautifully crafted, with a palpably depressing atmosphere throughout. Vampyr is a fantastic accomplishment. In a climate that's riddled with franchise fatigue and low-risk investments, the game is a refreshing reminder of just how important mid-tier titles can be. It's clear that this is Dontnod's biggest undertaking yet, an amalgamation of everything the studio's learned over the past few years. The team have managed to produce something that's both unique, memorable, and surprisingly polished.